Hi witches, so today I wanted to talk to you about the decks that I use in my lunar practice. So if you follow me on Instagram or some Facebook groups, you'll notice that I do a lot of work with the different moon phases and I use decks to help me in that. So today I wanted to show you the decks that I use and talk a little bit about how I use them. Hopefully my camera doesn't move around too much. This is the third time I've tried filming it, so we'll see how we go. So the first deck that I wanted to show you is the mini moon deck by Moon Journal, which is run by Joe Caldrick, who is the creator of the Muse with the Moon book, which I showed you in a previous video. So this is only a really small deck, and it's only a small size deck too. So it has an art card, it has a card with the moon phases, and then it's just got a image of that particular moon phase, a keyword, and some imagery around it, which kind of adds to the general feel of that moon phase. So this is they call this the new moon. Others might call it the dark moon, but they call this the new moon, even though it looks like the dark moon. So we've got the new moon and we've got reset. Waxing moon is refine. Quarter moon is action. Three-quarter moon is trust, or waxing gibbous moon. Waxing gibbous moon is trust. Full moon is release. So as I said, she is a fan of the moon being about release, which not everyone is. And you'll see it differs in some of the other decks that I have. Then we've got waning moon is reflect. Waning quarter moon is breathe. Waning gibbous moon is receive. And then that's where it ends. So it's only a very small deck. But the way that I use this deck is I'll get the moon cards and I will prop it up on my altar like this. I'll put like a crystal or something in front of it, and I keep track of the phase of the moon, along with I've got a selenite crystal with moon phases on it, which I will insert a video of, and I use a little moonstone crystal to keep track of the phase of the moon that way. So this combined with the crystal. And here I have my little desk altar where I also keep a little piece of laser etched selenite here. This is by a US based artist called Fractalista. I'll leave her link below. I got this in a Goddess Provisions box, but basically it's got all of the moon phases etched onto it. And what I do is this little moonstone here, I move along to show what phase the moon is currently in. So that's something else that I do in addition to using my cards. So the second deck that I wanted to show you is the Black Mirror Oracle by Circle of Wolves. She is also the creator of the Pythonic Tarot. So this has some moon cards in it, but it is not specifically a moon deck. Also warning, there is nudity in the following cards. So if you don't want to see artistically drawn nudity, skip forward 30 seconds or so. Okay, so the first card she has is the Dark Moon, which is supplication. New Moon, purification. Quarter Moon for balance. And then Full Moon for celebration. So it's not a complete moon deck. However, I can use those cards in the same way as I use the mini moon deck. I'll prop the cards up on my altar, but I make more of an elaborate display out of that particular deck because the cards are larger. And the next deck that I wanted to show you is the most recent moon card acquisition that I've made. So this is the Lunar Botanica deck by, I've forgotten the creator of this deck, but I will leave a link down below. So I really wanted these cards for a long time. They're altar cards. They're not technically a deck, but I really like that she's got the flower associations with the astrological sign, because if you know a little bit about the moon, you might notice that the full moon every cycle, it falls in a different zodiac sign. So it goes through the 12 zodiac signs. And I like that this has keywords and the flower association. So it's got Cancer is a white rose for sensitivity, perception, intuition, and nurturing. And these aren't in order. I've been using them. Then we've got Sagittarius is Narcissus. Aquarius is Orchid, which is my moon sign. Virgo is Morning Glory. Taurus is Poppy. Scorpio is Chrysanthemum. Pisces is Lotus. Gemini is Lavender. Libra is Classic Rose. Aries is Honeysuckle. I just noticed there's a butterfly on there. I like that. Leo is Sunflower, which is my ascendant sign. And Capricorn is Pansy. And then we're back to Cancer. So that is another deck that I use. I use it in the same way. I'll prop it up on my altar. I'll have crystals around it. I might make like a bit of a crystal grid. And I use this deck in my photos that I use to accompany my full moon posts. So then the last deck that I use is probably the deck that I use the most. So this is the Spirit de la Lune Oracle. It is an indie published deck. It has the most beautiful box you'll ever see. And they made it even more amazing because the newer editions, instead of it having the silver foil, it's rainbow holographic foil. But I already have this deck. It already cost me a small fortune. But it is something to know. If you do like this deck, it's even prettier now. So, comes in a nice sturdy box. Book is also silvery. Now this book, it's quite chunky for a oracle deck. And there is a lot of information in this. This is the main book that I use for my information about the moon. And I'll go through it in a moment. I'll just show you some of the cards first. And if you're interested, there are plenty of reviews on this deck on the internet. But yeah, it's got this nice little foam insert. It's basically my favorite deck in my collection. If I could only take one deck, it would be this deck. Okay, so this has a card for every single day of the different moon phases, and it's got a keyword, and it's got a section in the guidebook to talk about it. So there is a lot of information here. And I got this deck not to use as a oracle deck, but to use as a study deck, and it has helped me immensely. So as you can see, the cards are glossy. You can see me. Hi. Okay. So I've got new moon for new beginnings. And then day 2, waxing crescent in vision. Day 3. Day 4. Day 5. Day 6. Day 7. And then the numbers and the backgrounds change because they've got associated elements as well. So I think the first phase, I think it's the air element, might be water. And then it goes into the fire element. So from first chord onwards, we've got ignite, movement, focus, courage, strength, manifest, connect. And then it goes into the full moon, which I believe is earth. I'm probably getting the elemental associations wrong. I'm just going by the color on the background. So yeah, so their association for the full moon is fulfillment. We've got listen, reflect, guidance, devotion, dream, surrender, release, boundaries, support, rejuvenate, rest, transform, be. So that's the very last sliver of the moon before it goes into the dark moon, which they call the new moon here. So those are all the phases of the moon. So there are, I think there's 28 or 20, I think there's 29 cards here. So as you can see, there's a keyword for each day. So you can actually work through this in a whole lunar cycle and just do activities to work with that keyword for each day, which I think is really, really good and something I haven't seen in any other deck. Okay, so then there are some art cards, a little bit about the deck, a little bit about the moons, about the elements, And then this goes into the seasonal moons. So I've got this reorganized so that it fits the southern hemisphere for January to December. So January's full moon is the blessing moon. Now keep in mind that this is a northern hemisphere produced deck, so some of the moons don't necessarily relate to the southern hemisphere, and I talk about that in my moon posts that I do, and I might do a video about that in the future. So then it goes into the blessing moon, and so these are called moon dalas, these designs I have put on the cards. Corn moon, harvest moon, blood moon, which is really nice because it actually is usually around the time of Samhain in the southern hemisphere. Crone moon, cold moon, wolf moon. So obviously we don't have wolves in Australia, but you can still work with the energy. Sage moon, seed moon, planting moon, flower moon, and honey moon, which was our most recent full moon in December. So those are the seasonal moons, and then they have some extra cards. They've got a supermoon, a lunar eclipse, and a solar eclipse card. Oh, and a blue moon, which is helpful to have because we are having a blue moon this year. Okay, and then the very last portion of the deck is the zodiac signs. So you've got, and I've organized these from the start to the end of the traditional zodiac. So it starts with Aries and ends with Pisces. So we've got Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. So now we have the guidebook, which I'll show you a little bit of, not all of, I promise. Even though this is very quickly turned into a walkthrough of all of my moon decks. So the guidebook is organized in a bit of a different way compared to how I organize the deck, but it's still quite easy to find things. So you've got the page numbers for the corresponding seasonal moons. Where it gets tricky is the different moon phases and the zodiacs are grouped in the elements here. So like if you were looking for Aries, you'd have to go into the fire section. So it talks a bit about the moon, it's got some spreads, but here you go. So seed moon. So it tells you a keyword, tells you a little bit about it, tells you what zodiac sign it usually falls in and the associated keywords for it, seasons, that kind of thing. It then has like ideas of how to celebrate that, gemstone associations, and a card spread, which is where I grab a lot of my moon information from when I make my full moon posts. Then let me find you here we go. So like this is first quarter moon. So it's got the keyword ignite, it's got like a mantra, it talks a little bit about that phase of the moon, how you might be feeling, chakras to work with, things you can do. Yeah, so create a fire altar, and then it doesn't have associated gemstones. Let me also just find, there we go. Let's do Aries, my sun sign. So then for the zodiacs, it's got the keyword, a little bit about Aries, what it means if you draw this in an oracle reading. What to do when the moon is in Aries. So like if it's a new moon in Aries, it says to start a new project. If it's a waxing moon in Aries, it says to move your body. If it's a full moon in Aries, it says manifest your goals. Waning moon in Aries, detox and sweat out toxins, that kind of thing. So this is basically my favorite moon deck ever. All right. So I've rambled on long enough now. I hope that this was helpful and useful for you. If you want me to do another video about the different seasonal moons in Australia and how they differ from the Northern Hemisphere, let me know down in the comments. And hopefully I haven't tried to convince you to part with too much money to get lots of expensive moon decks. I just wanted to show you some of my favorite ones. I'm aware that there is also the Moonology Oracle deck and the Queen of the Moon Oracle by Stacey DeMarco. I can't comment on those because I haven't used either of them, because once I got the Spirit de la Lune Oracle, I didn't feel the need to get any other decks, basically, aside from the Lunar Botanica, because that's got the flower associations. So, yeah. Do you use moon decks in your practice? Do you use them in the same way as I do? A different way? Let me know. I could chat about the moon and cards for hours and hours. So, hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.